My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. Hey folks, let me ask you a question. Are you working at a job that just no longer really fulfills you and you're looking to real estate as a way of replacing that job income, creating more financial stability and financial freedom for yourself and your family? Well, if so, today's special guest, Amanda Fadley, is going to be a big inspiration for you because Amanda is zooming in from Cape Canaveral, Florida. You might recognize that name because there are rockets that get blasted off from Cape Canaveral, Florida. And Amanda is literally a rocket scientist who is also a real estate investor. And she focuses on short-term rentals, Airbnb type rentals. And that has allowed her to step away from her very, very intense, I would imagine, job and focus much more on real estate investing. So Amanda, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Thanks so much. I'm glad to be here.
So Amanda, give us a little overview of what real estate investing looks like for you right now. What's the portfolio? What's the focus? Where are your properties as of the end of September 2024?
Sure, I would be glad to. So I'm not one of the people that has a massive portfolio. So if anything, maybe people will be encouraged that you don't have to have 1,000 properties that you're managing.
That sounds
Uh,
good to a lot of us, Amanda. So that's great.
yeah, but in order to make some money. So I have one property here in Cape Canaveral, and I have a triplex in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and all four of these doors are used currently as short-term rentals. The triplex in Michigan is on a ski hill, so in off season, I also do midterm rentals. One of the big industries up there is medical, so we have lots of nurses and doctors and folks in the area up there.
Very, very cool. So when did you first take your first steps into real estate investing, Amanda?
Yeah, so the property in Cape Canaveral I purchased actually as a single family home. And then life changed very fast. And within a few months after buying it, I was out in California living with my son and his wife for about 4 months because she was having a lot of medical challenges during her second pregnancy, and they had a 2-year-old. So I went out there and helped them. And when I left, I thought, I wonder what would happen. I have this lovely property by the beach. It's already, all set up. I wonder what would happen if I just put it on Airbnb, VRBO. And 2021 was a really good year for STRs. So it was quite easy. I didn't have professional photos. I didn't have anything really set up. And I found a cleaner, and that was it. And it was started making money. And so that got me excited
So
about
this
what
so
else.
this is while you were with your son and his family in California. You started renting it out. Okay, got it.
That's right. That's right. And I saw that that worked. And then I took a new role in Colorado. So I ended up going really, from almost directly from California to Colorado. And I said, well, heck, that worked. I suppose I'll just keep going. So I just kept it as a short-term rental when I moved to Colorado, and kind of immediately started looking for my next property because I said, okay, this might be what I've been looking for, something to kind of dig into. And that's what led me to trying to step it up a bit and bought the triplex there in Michigan.
Okay, so triplex in Michigan, you were living in Colorado. Um, yeah, what was kind of like the time frame for that? How long did it take you to find the property? Why did you decide Michigan instead of Colorado? Um, these kind of questions.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, once the property in Cape Canaveral started doing well, I just sort of threw myself into all the investing groups I could find on Facebook and other places. And I connected with some folks that were in Michigan that were actually trying to get investors to come in and purchase some homes for long-term rentals in the area.
Mm.
And that kind of led from one thing to another. So that was kind of March, April timeframe. I was talking to them and started looking,
Of
and
2021 or 2022?
of what year are we in? 2022.
Got it.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so really it was December of 21-ish that I put the Florida house up for rent. And then just a few months later, I was talking to folks in Michigan. I had never been to the Midwest. I'd never been to any Midwest state before. So it was really just going out on a limb and learning about a new area. So I wasn't quite in Colorado yet. When I got to Colorado, I just continued the discussions and ended up closing on the triplex that summer of 22.
So it sounds like the original property that you had in Florida was good to go. You've been living there, was nice property, nice area, well furnished, the whole bit. There wasn't a lot that you had to do
Okay.
to prepare it for short-term rentals. What about the triplex? Was that kind of a good to go thing, or was there some work involved with
Oh
that?
no, no, that was a whole different ball game. That was
I'm hearing some learning experiences through the
that
cracks
was
there.
a big manual of learning for Amanda. Absolutely. I learned a whole lot of stuff fast, and I learned a lot of expensive lessons on this property for sure. Yeah, it was run down. It was a mess. It
Was it
needed
vacant when you bought it at least? Like, or did you have
it was
tenants in it?
not
Yeah.
vacant.
Yeah.
And so that, that was part of it. I was given about 5 minutes in each unit to go in and take a look around. If I had known better, I might have pushed for a bit more time. All of this was very, very new to me. I took one quick trip up there. There was still snow everywhere, and so I couldn't see anything outside. And yeah, all three units had renters inside. So I just kind of did a quick, upstairs, downstairs look. And
So
but
no,
yeah, it
no home
ended up
inspector
being
with you or anything like that. Just you kind of looking through it.
it
Yeah.
was just me at that time. And I was spoiled in Florida. I have probably the best real estate agent that walks the face of the planet,
Yeah.
who's just super knowledgeable. And the agent that I had found up there, not so helpful. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a lot added there. And of course, I did have an inspection later, and there was a lot of information in there. But it was a mix of it wasn't a thorough enough,
Yeah.
inspection and my inexperience,
Yeah.
of not fully comprehending what each piece of it was going to mean for me or cost me. And I learned a lot about, I didn't know any. I've lived in Florida my entire adult life,
Yeah.
and they get they get more snow than I can even wrap my mind around up there every year. And the kind of things that I've owned a number of homes, and I've never had a basement. Know anything about basements? I didn't know anything about what having all that snow really means. And so
Drain,
yeah, it was
drainage and runoff, that sort of stuff.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Lots of water. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So, learning experience, how long did it take you to how did you get your tenants out of there? I don't know what the rules and regulations are in Michigan, but a lot of places it's not like it takes a while. So tenant situation, and then how long did it take to get the renovations done and get this ready to rent out as short-term
Sure.
rentals?
Sure. So I started into the work, and one of the first things I learned was I need some help.
Mm.
And so I ended up hiring a designer who also agreed to help kind of with the managing all of the renovations themselves,
Mm.
not just picking the things, but so we set up a contract for that. So that helped a lot. And so, like I said, I closed in June, July. It took half a year to get everything done. I had the
Well, how about the
property,
tenants? How did you get the tenants out?
yeah. So the the owner lived next door to the property that I purchased it from, and was the landlord of these tenants. And I
Mm.
was given the impression that there was a lot of, communication going on. They were right there next door. There was none. So when I purchased it, the first thing I found out is that the tenants knew nothing
Oh,
about this, and that was not good. Another thing that I really didn't have a full understanding was that this area didn't have a lot of readily available rentals, for long-term
Oh,
rentals.
yeah.
So it was sort of bizarre that this property was being used as a long-term rental. It's on the property of a ski hill up there. And so, almost everything around it is a short-term rental,
Yeah. So
vacation
these
property
tenants didn't
rental.
want to leave, even though it was a
Why?
not in great
Yeah,
condition. Yeah.
yeah, they didn't want to leave. I don't think they really understood how, much was going on with the property or the condition. But yeah, so they weren't happy. They were not
Mm.
happy. And I served a notice to say that, you got to move out, and every tenant kind of had a different response. They were all unhappy,
Yeah.
but one, just immediately went and found another place and moved on, and it wasn't, a big challenge. Another one was just very, very angry and had a lot of, mean things to say about, out of
Oh,
state
yeah.
investors and everything. But eventually, they found a place and they moved out, and we just moved on with life. And the other one I ended up having a lot more conversations with. She was very unhappy, but she's just very bright and communicative, and wrote me lots of long emails to tell me all the things I was doing wrong. But we ended up becoming friends.
Wow.
And yeah, so, she moved out, and I think she ended up finding a place that was actually better for her family in the long run, something that was a standalone property closer to
Mm.
town. And because it was all short-term rentals out there, it's not like there were a lot of kids out there for,
Mm.
her kids to play with or anything like that. So yeah, I was really thankful for the relationship that we built there. So I think in that triplex, we kind of hit, all the possible scenarios of how people, could have
So how
responded.
long did that take, Amanda? Like, so did you, as the first one left quite quickly and without too much hassle, did you start renovating that unit as you're waiting for the other ones, or did you wait for everybody to get out and then do them all at once?
That's a great question. I'm not sure if I remember exactly how I did that. I think I may have started on some of the external stuff a
Mm.
little bit before they were all gone, but I had them all out within about 2 months, I
Oh,
would
wow, that's not
say.
bad. Yeah.
So it really didn't take too long
Mhm.
for them to get out, and I gave a little bit of money. I think to two of them, certainly to the one that I became friends with, just to sort of help with some of the moving expenses. And
Yeah. Cash for
uh,
keys is what that's called.
cash for keys. That's
Yeah.
right. Yep. I think I read about that and I said, yeah, I have no problem with that. I know how hard it is to move. And,
Yeah.
I was also a single mom for a long time. And so I really had a lot of compassion for this mom, and hated that they hadn't had any notice. And also, I really did want to become a part of the community, and, get to know the people as best I could, while at the same time not in a position to provide, to just pay a bunch of people's rent. And,
Yeah.
I bought
Yeah.
it yeah, doing business, but I think we can do that and also care about the community.
So you got the tenants out in about 2 months. How long did it take to renovate and design and get the property ready to go for short-term rentals?
Yeah, so we put it on, our listings went live right at the end of November, beginning of December of that year. So there were a few things left to be done, but
So about six
so
months altogether
yeah.
between purchasing
Hmm.
and starting to rent it out.
Yes.
That's not too bad. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
they were pushing it. The person that I was working with to help manage had a contractor who actually traveled on site, and did a lot of the work directly, and also helped to find other local contractors. I learned that in such a rural area, that was very, very different than my Florida property, which was in Florida. If the plumbing breaks, I have an infinite number of plumbers to contact. Of course, I have my favorite
Yeah.
that I try to call. Up there, that was not the case. There's a very small number of plumbers, and they're serving everyone, and they
Yeah.
may or may not even call you back.
Yeah.
And and they may or may not be licensed, and and so it's just that is one of the trickiest things for someone going into not just a new area, but a very rural area that doesn't have so many resources and service
So
people.
with everything that you've learned from the relatively easy peasy property in Florida to the triplex in Michigan, where do you see your real estate business going over the next year or two? What are you focusing on? What kind of properties? What kind of areas are you sticking to? Short-term rentals? Are you going to pivot to anything else? What does the future look like for you, Amanda?
Yeah. So I took a course in syndicating larger properties, not, hospitality or anything like that related. And then I said, I think I kind of like short-term rentals. So that could be boutique hotels. I would still consider that in the short-term rental family, but I enjoy that process of fixing a place up to be really nice. I enjoy creating an experience. And as much as it can be frustrating and annoying sometimes, I do enjoy actually really engaging with the guests, and hearing them have a good time and helping them have a good time. So I intend to stay in the short-term rental space. What I'm mostly working on right now is sort of recovery of time. I was managing a satellite program during this whole renovation and two satellite programs actually for most of it. And so I was just doing what I could to keep the project going, and I would spend Saturdays just trying to catch up on real estate, but it wasn't strategic, at that point. I was just trying to keep all the balls moving and keep everything moving forward and make sure that, stuff was happening and that it was getting rented. And now I'm really digging in. I'm really trying to uncover all the data. I'm looking at all my numbers. I'm doing much better, getting my records set up in a better way to be able to scale, and really focusing in more on treating this really much more like a business, because I really do think that's the only way I'm going to be, really able to scale and be successful going forward is kind of taking the mindset that I was really reserving for my day job and applying those, those skills to what I'm doing here. So I'm considering a couple areas within that. I'm considering the possibility of playing around with maybe some co-hosting, just to add some more to, my ability to scale and set up the business before I go buy anything else. But of course, I'm always looking at properties, and I am looking a lot in the Florida area right now,
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Have the rules and regulations changed at all since you first got in started with short-term rentals? I know up here in Canada, a lot of municipalities have really clamped down, and that was a rude surprise to a lot of investors who were having a happy time. But now, they're not allowed to legally, or they have to get licensed, or it can
Yeah.
only be in their own house. Any challenges with that situation
No,
where you're at?
no major changes. I try to
Yeah.
keep an eye on all of that. In Michigan, they did add some legislation up there, but it wasn't anything major. It's just that you
And
can only
probably
like
not on the ski hill because they're looking for short-term rentals makes sense. I mean, that's
they are. They wanted, they added a requirement to have someone who's boots on the ground. Well, I have a cleaner who's,
yeah.
your cleaner is really like the heart of your business. You find someone who is really invested in and they're cleaning and watching out over things as well. So that was not a super hard one. But the real thing with short-term rentals is it doesn't always work. And that was another big learning up there is, you know, I made, I it was great during ski season.
Yeah.
When it wasn't ski season, it was a lot slower than I actually expected. And so learning to pivot, learning to say, okay, I think I need to do something else here. I think I need to add in that midterm rental. I think that's an important part of the short-term rental business is being, always looking for opportunities and being flexible. You have an asset. You can use it in a lot of different ways. If short-term rental isn't working, what else can you do?
What's the biggest difference you found between the midterm and the short-term rentals? Like, are you advertising the midterm on different platforms? Do you need different
Yeah.
management? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So yeah, I found several different platforms, and some are just super common, free, like Zillow. And I have 3 units, so I rotate them, but I keep almost a standing listing up for midterm rentals during the off season is what I've learned to do, and
Mhm.
I get a fairly steady stream of inquiries, and I've begun to the management of it is easier because
Mhm.
there's not all these turnovers and all these things to do.
Routine. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it because you don't have all the turnovers of short-term rentals, but you also don't have with a long-term rental, you sort of lose control of your property, is the way I feel. Someone's got it for a long time. You don't really know what they're doing in there. You don't know if they're taking care of your stuff. And when you present someone a property that's, been just every detail's been sort of polished and it's fully furnished, they just tend to take care of it.
Mhm.
And even if they don't, okay, it's 3 months, they can't mess up that much, or at
Yeah.
least,
Theoretically.
anything
Yeah.
can happen. But it's kind of a nice space, and it's typically professionals who are coming work for the area, or folks who live up there. They live in Chicago or places like that, and they just love the nature. And so they're just coming up for a few months to enjoy vacation. So the renters are usually a pleasure to work with, and I've learned some pretty easy ways to do a background check and to do, I've got a good template lease that I can be flexible based on a person's specific needs. So yeah, I don't mind that midterm at all. It's kind of a nice space to be in.
Wonderful. Well, Amanda, congratulations on what you've accomplished, the lessons you've learned, and the fact that you're able to pivot when things don't go exactly according to plan. You've learned a lot in a short period of time. If people want to connect with you and reach you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, I think LinkedIn would be the easiest way to get in touch with me because it's just my name you have to remember from this podcast, Amanda Fadley. I do have a newsletter on Substack. If you reach out to me on LinkedIn, you'll see some posts where I've shared that, or just feel free to message me. I would really love to chat with other people who are doing the same kind of thing.
Awesome. Thanks very much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, take care, and we will see you on the next episode. Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now, at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.